Alright, what is up everyone? My name is Altanic, and making this video as a kind of walkthrough guide on how to get started building in the Killing Antidote in Unreal Engine. Um, I'm not gonna go through the walkthrough on how to set up the Unreal Engine project file. There's already a guide on how to do that in Steam. I will link that in the description. You'll want to get all that set up, get the correct version of UE4 installed, and get the Killing Antidote like DEVKIT set up. It's not too hard. It doesn't take too long. And then once you have that, you should be able to follow along with me here and start building your level. Make sure everything is looking good. You can actually play it, etc. So the first place I'm going to start is, well, I guess I should mention this guide. Like I said, it's going to be in the description. It's made by one of the guys from the Discord. He's a really talented Unreal Engine developer. His name is Saget, and he wrote a really comprehensive guide. Basically, everything I'm going to show you here has been laid out in his guide. So if you don't want to follow along here, totally understandable. You can basically get all of this information from the guide that he wrote. Um, but aside from that, I guess we can go ahead and get started. So I'm going to open up Unreal Engine, and as long as you have the version, you need 4.27.2. That is the version of Unreal that the Killing Antidote is running in. Once you've installed the Killing Antidote project kit, that, like I said, is in the guide, you will have a new option aside from the kind of generic default My Project files that UE gives you when you first open it for the first time. You will have a new one labeled as the Killing Antidote, and that's where you're going to build everything that you're going to make for TKA. It kind of turns into its own little isolated kit outside of the default. So I'm going to go ahead and open one of my projects, and you'll see this says the Killing Antidote editor, Unreal Engine 4.27.2. So normally you'll probably have a content folder. If this is the first time you're using UE4 and you're opening the TKA dev kit for the first time, you're probably, I believe you'll have a mod folder, you'll have the project folder, and you should have a starter content folder that's going to be basically some just default geometry that UE is going to give you just so you can start building something. Um, what we want to do, if you don't have a mod folder, I suggest you build one. You'll need it. You'll need it for the future, but I believe it comes with it. It's been a long time since I've installed it, but I'm pretty sure it comes with it, and it has all of these developer folders inside. So you can also do like hair, makeup, clothing, shoes, other kinds of things like that for the TKA. Um, it's all laid out pretty well. But what you want is what we're going to do first. Right click, make a new folder. I'm just going to call this like TKA new. I just like to name them like that. You don't have to. You can name them pretty much whatever you want. I just do that because it's easier to keep along. So we're going to go into this workshop tomb folder, and you're going to see these tables. You want to grab these, copy them, and you want to drop them into your new folder. And then what we're also going to do, right click, create a new level, and we're going to also name this TKA new. And we're off to a good start. We're going to create a couple more folders just to help us organize all of our assets, all of our actors as we go. So I like to create one for meshes. I like to create one for textures. I like to create one for materials. And I also like to create one for actors. So actors are going to be basically anything that you create, any kind of audio, any music that you want to have playing in the level. You're going to need some kind of cue actor for those to start up. Materials are going to be for your more detailed textures. So once you have some textures in here, I'll show you how to rebuild your materials so that they've got, good normal maps, they've got roughness, maybe even some pixel depth so that your textures actually have depth and not just an illusion of depth. But either way, that is what that's for. Meshes are going to be for all of your kind of objects. So anything that anything you'll be placing in the level as like a prop, walls, floors, chairs, light poles, whatever. Those are all those like objects are going to go in the meshes, and then textures, of course, are going to be what you're putting on your walls, putting on your floors. Basically, everything in your level is going to have some kind of texture on it, except for a few of like the dev objects. Those are going to be pulled from, I guess, like the game files externally. But now that we've got those filters in place, we want to configure these tables here. So the first one will go into this red one, TKA sample tomb. The main thing you want to change here is this chunk ID. I don't know if you necessarily have to change it, but I like to make it a value of like 10 or more. Once you package a project, there's going to be usually like 8 to 10 different pack files, and it just makes it a little bit easier to identify which one is the one you're working on if you make it like 15 or some odd number like 17 or something like that. Just makes it easier to find it. Not that you won't recognize it once you start really getting in the groove of this. So I'm just going to make this one 13, and then always make sure you save it, save those changes, and we're also going to rename it to the name of our level. So we're going to rename this to this number at the end of the string is also going to be your pack chunk, so we're going to change this to 13. And then I'm going to erase this. This is going to be TKA new 13. And that should be all you need to do there. Open up this mod table. Actually, never mind. I don't think you need to do anything with this one. We can kind of leave it as is. We're going to go into mod level table, and you want to delete this second entry here. If you don't, whenever you package your game, you package your mod, you're going to see like kind of a blank tomb level, and it's going to kind of soft lock people. They're not going to be able to load into the map or anything. You basically have to like restart the game to get it to work. It's just like an empty level. So you just want there to be one entry in this section. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And then this is where we're going to kind of edit a lot of like the properties that you're going to see when you're looking for the level in the menu, the thumbnail for the image or the thumbnail for your level in the like the level select. So we're going to change the row name to TKA new. I'm going to call this level just new level here in this caption section. This content area, this is the actual kind of like the actual caption that you'll read on the loading screen. So this is where you can say, this is a caption for my level, and then you'll be able to read that. This can be your description or maybe a little opening story, who knows, whatever you want it to be, right? And then also, most importantly, you want to go down to this path value. Make sure that path is set to matches the name of your level. I think it needs to actually match the name of the level itself. So that path needs to match what you name here. It should be the name of your level. So as long as you've done all that, you're good. This caption image, like I said, this is going to be your thumbnail. I believe the dimensions are, I think it's 1400 by 350. It's a very long, narrow image. But as long as you do that, you can map all this out here, and then you're pretty much good to go. Those are the only values you need to change. So we're going to save that, make sure that's all good, close this. Now at this point, you should be all set. There's nothing else you're going to need to do or worry about whenever it comes to packaging, as long as this value has, or this table here has been renamed to the name of your level, underscore the pack ID. So you always want to make sure you can, I don't think you have to come up with a specific chunk ID. This is just what's going to identify your level once you package it. And then you're good. So the other thing that we need to do, I'm going to just double click this, don't save because we're already in an empty level. So what we want to do here, now that we've opened up this blank level and we're going to get started building something, you want to go into the sidebar, go into your world settings, and go into game mode override. So this is going to make sure that um, when you start up the game, that it actually has some kind of game mode attached to it. And this is going to make sure that when you package the project and you start the game, that you actually spawn in as Jody. If you don't do this, you're going to spawn in as like a free floating camera that you can just fly around as, which is kind of cool, but or it could be useful if you just want to get a visual of it in the game. But there's more efficient ways to do that. So you just want to make sure the main ones that you're going to choose into this game mode override is you're going to choose either survival or you're going to go with time game mode. For this one, I'm just going to do time. You actually don't need to set a specific time limit or anything like that, or you don't even need to spawn the trigger that starts the counter. You can just create a time mode, create a game end trigger box at whatever point in the game you want, and it'll still work properly. It'll even track your time in the background. So whether or not you want to add an actual counter is kind of up to you. Whenever I made liminal space, I didn't add any kind of counter trigger, so that's why you can kind of move through the level without it tracking your time, but then when you complete the level, it still shows how long you took. So anyways, that's a complete aside. You just want to make sure survival mode for wave-based horde mode, time is going to be for any kind of adventure, exploration, point-to-point map. So we're going to make this time. You see here that it's pulling the correct components for this, so we're good there. Also, get used to saving a lot. If you're anything like me, the first couple times I did this, Unreal Engine would crash constantly. Like 15 to 20 times in one afternoon session. I mean, it was ridiculous. So get used to use the save all, use it often, use it all the time. You change a texture on an object, you spawn a new asset in, you make a change to a table, whatever. I highly recommend you just save often, save all the time. After every little thing you do, it's going to save you, because there have been times where I've worked for like an hour or two. I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be whatever. And then you go to like replace a texture on the wall, and all of a sudden Unreal Engine crashes, and now you have lost 2 hours of your time. So save all, save often. Um, Now that we've done that, we've set the world game mode. We've adjusted the tables and we've created a level. We've also got kind of our organization in place. We can go ahead and start getting some assets. So I mentioned in the beginning that you're going to have this starter content folder. This should come with Unreal Engine. Even if you have no asset packs at all, you're just going to have a really basic starter kit. And I highly recommend you use these if you're new. Don't worry about going into UEFab and feeling like you need to create these beautiful landscapes. As long as you have a good sense of like what's fun in a game, you can totally just take some walls and a floor and a door and make something interesting. Um, so go ahead, go open up your starter content, and you're going to go into your architecture. Now, there's an important thing here you want to keep in mind, is that if you start downloading asset packs, which is fine, go and get you some free asset packs from UEFab. There's some really nice stuff like, chairs and all kinds of decorations and whatnot. But you want to make sure that once these are installed, they're going to install in a separate folder. And you need to bring these over to your actual project folder. So I'm going to go into architecture. I'm going to grab all of these, shift click, control C, copy them, bring them over into our new meshes folder inside our mod directory. I'm going to paste these. So now, whenever I drop these into the level, they're going to be referenced from this meshes folder in our project folder. They're not going to be referenced from the starter content folder all the way over here. And what that means basically is that once you package your game and you go to test it, um, everything is not going to be invisible, and you're not just going to fall into a black void because the uh, all of the files and stuff associated with your map are being pulled from the project folder and not somewhere else on your hard drive. So this makes sure that when you load in, all the references are correct. You're not just spawning into a void. It makes sure that your textures are going to show up once you place them. And I'll show you kind of a good flow on how to get that going. So now that we've moved over these meshes, we also want to grab the materials for them. This is going to be like the textures. So you're going to go back into that starter content, go into your materials. We're going to take these, copy them, and we're going to paste them in our materials folder. So now what I'll show you, now that they are there, when we grab, save all the time, when I drop this floor in here, change this to unlit mode, go into your view, change this to unlit so you can see in the dark. I'm going to raise this up over the grid just because it's a little easier to work that way. So now this is all lined up. Okay, so what you're going to see is when you've got this selected now, you'll see if you hover over this thumbnail, it's going to show you the actual file path that this mesh is being referenced from. And you want to make sure that this is pulling from your project folder. So it clearly is. It says game mod TKA new. That means it's grabbing the mesh from our mesh folder, not the UE starter content folder. But if you go down to this material here, you will see that it's being pulled from game starter content. That's what you don't want. That means whenever you spawn in this map, you're going to see this mesh, but you're going to see it without a texture because the texture is being pulled from an outside source. So we're going to go back over here, go into your materials. You got your basic floor. So this is the one that we want to make. We want to kind of overwrite, and all you have to do is just click on it, highlight it, go back over here, and click on this arrow. This is going to basically kind of update the asset. So click on that, and now when you hover over it, you can see that it's being pulled from our project materials folder and not the starter content folder. So this is good. So now you'll just see a super basic material, but at least it's something. And I'm going to go ahead and real quick just build a little room for us to just throw a couple things in and just kind of go from there. So I got the wall, and I'm going to resize all of this. There's a couple hotkeys that are really useful. You can, while something is highlighted like this, you can just quickly copy and paste it to create like a new version of it, and that'll save you some time. Bring this over here. Now normally I would make sure that this is all super neat, super lined up, that there's no, colliding textures, there's no overlap like you can sort of see here where this part of the mesh is actually extending into this other one. Usually I would clean this up, or I would just, move it over a little bit so that they're not colliding. You'll get some texture fighting, and then that'll actually cause some performance loss. So you want to make sure everything is kind of neatened up as you're building. I wouldn't recommend going back like after the fact and trying to neaten up all your geometry. It's going to take you way longer. It's like they say, just do it right the first time and you'll be straight. But like I said, I'm not going to take all the time to do that here because I just want to show you how to get going. So I'm going to keep building this room. Use E to turn on rotation, press R to activate scaling, and W to move things. And that's just going to really speed you up. And I'm just going to make sure that this isn't terrible. I'm going to scale this down. We're going to drop a door just so that, I don't know, there's a door in here. Something. Move these together. And like I said, normally I would, resize this. You can also, so if you activate your resize here, well, you don't even have to activate it, but I just like to because then I can see what axes I need to adjust. So you can turn that on. Then come over here to your like adjustments, and you can actually just click on it and slide it. And this is really good if you just need to like fine tune, really like line something up perfectly. Super useful tool. So we can go in and you see right there, I just lined it up. So we're good. That's all we need to do. And now we've got a room. So we're all set there. Let's double check, make sure the materials are being referenced. See, this one is pulling from starter content. We don't want that. So we're going to go into basic wall and make sure that these are all replaced. And since I went ahead and put all my walls down before I did that, I'm going to need to go through and remap all of these to the right material because they're all separate from each other. They're not linked in any way. So these all need to be updated. Make sure they're pulling from the right area. Okay, so that's good. All right, now we're going to put a light source because right now it is pitch black. You can't see anything. You don't even know there's a level there. So I'm going to grab, I like the rectangular lights. They're kind of like a point light, but they cast a little bit of a larger area. So I'm going to grab one of these and drag it in the level. I'm going to raise it up a little bit. We're going to flip it so that the light is pointing down. You can adjust that however you want. I'm just going to put it right in the center there. So there's a couple things we want to talk about with lights before we get into some other things about the game. So there are a couple different versions of lighting, like rendering. So right now, if you look at the transform section, there's a section called mobility. And right now, by default, all of your lights are going to default to stationary. And stationary is kind of right in between static lighting and movable lighting, just kind of how it looks here. So static lighting is your best performance. It's all going to be baked. There's no like dynamic lighting in any way. I'm not sure it even casts shadows and things like that. You might be able to manually enable that, but static is going to be really good for performance. So if you're in someplace with a lot of detail and maybe the lighting is kind of holding you back, or you're just trying to save on performance where you can, static is going to be really good for that. You can still kind of imitate dynamic lighting in other ways, but that's kind of beside the point. When you use static lighting, you're not going to get like the skin reflections on Jodie's skin. You're not going to get the light reflection off her hair. You also may see like certain clothing not display decals correctly because I guess they might rely on some kind of dynamic lighting. It's not always the case, but there are some that I've seen. So it's just a couple things you want to keep in mind. But being static lighting still looks good. You can still make it look good. And it's just very, very good for performance. It's going to be super, super light. Stationary is kind of right in between. So it'll let you bake it like static lighting, but it keeps some dynamic elements, so it'll cast dynamic shadows. It will show the material reflections and things like that. So you'll see the reflection on Jodie's skin, you'll see the reflection in Jodie's hair, and you'll see like reflections on special materials that have normal maps or things like that. It's gonna add more like dynamic lighting. I think the one thing that makes it a little bit different is if maybe you had like an animated light source that's like swinging back and forth, you won't see the lighting update like that, but you would if you were using movable lights. Movable lights are the most performance intensive. They cost the most because basically they require your GPU to update the lighting or like what's being projected in the light like every frame. So it can be really, really hard on your GPU. This can be the difference between like 60 frames and 90 frames in a map if you're not careful. So definitely something. You only want to use movable lights if you're actually going to have some kind of literally moving light. Like if you're going to animate a light that's swinging in a hallway or something, that would be like the only instance you would want to use a movable light. Otherwise, just use stationary. It basically looks the same. You're still going to get all the good effects, like the dynamic shadows that are going to be cast from Jody. You're going to get all of that just from stationary lights, and you're going to have the performance cost. So highly recommend just stick with these or static lights. But we'll leave this as stationary, and we're good there. But I just feel like that's something really important to note. That's going to really save you. So we're going to leave this stationary. Now we've got some lighting. So another thing that you'll probably notice once you start building is, let's see, if I look away and I look back, you'll see that the lighting's really dim and then it gets brighter over time. That is an effect called eye adaptation, and you kind of don't want that. Um, why you don't want that is because say you want to make a room like really dark and really dim. You can even see it happen just like that. Whenever I lowered the light, it still kind of adapted and got really bright again. So you can't accurately tell like how bright a light is when you're building. And also when you get in the game, all of those areas that you might want to make like dimly lit or kind of moody are all of a sudden going to be super, super bright because eye adaptation has not been disabled. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn that back up to like basically the default value there. And you go into your volumes and you want to drop a post-process volume. You can put this anywhere. There's a couple fields you want to edit. So once you've highlighted it, in the post-process volume settings, make sure that infinite extent is turned on. This is going to make sure that this volume affects your entire level, no matter how big it is, no matter where this volume is placed. It's just going to cast over the entirety of your level. Also, the real thing that we need to change is in exposure. So in lens, you want to drop that down, go to minimum and max brightness. We're going to check these and usually just put these at 1. Put them both so that way minimum brightness is 1, max brightness is 1. There's no adaptation there, and you're good. So now you'll get more accurate lighting. You can adjust it. It's not going to readapt. I can look away. It's still going to be super bright. So that's what you want. So I'm going to make that just a little bit brighter, put that like at 16, and now we're looking pretty good. So now that we've done that, we also, well, let's do this first. So I'm going to go get some actual nicer textures, right? Because we don't want just these really basic white walls. And also, once you start building in dark environments where it gets harder to see, you might want to switch to unlit mode, and it's really, really hard to get any kind of depth perception from these blank textures. So I'm going to I've got a couple asset packs down here, and I believe it's modular building set, has some good like bricks. So yes, so I'm just going to grab this red brick texture, and I'm going to also get this brick wall tiling G and this brick wall tiling N. So these are related to each other. The C is for color, this N is for normal map, this G might be for roughness or something like that. But these are all going to be how we're going to rebuild the material and give your texture some depth. So it's not just like a flat, shiny surface. It's going to actually look like a brick wall. It's going to look like there's like grooves in it that the bricks have depth. So we're going to take all of these. Oh, not all of those, just these. Copy them. Bring them over to our mod texture folder. Drop them in here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this color. Oh, don't forget to save. Always save. We're going to take this color texture, the actual, visual, and I'm just going to drag it onto a wall. This is going to create a new texture inside your project folder. And that's why I didn't drag it over, because if you take the one that already exists, that's fine too. You're just going to have to rebuild it. I find it a little bit easier to just kind of manually rebuild the texture like this. So yeah, you can see it's super, super dark right now. Let me turn this light up a little bit. So it's super, super dark, but you can see right now that like This is just a picture of like bricks on a wall. There's no depth to it. It's just kind of shining. So we're going to fix that. So let's open up the new material that was just created, this one right here, or you can click on the wall and go over here. So see it's pulling this material from this new one that was just built. So we're going to double click it, we're going to open it up, and I'm going to minimize this a little bit just so that we can kind of see this happen in real time. So you'll also get this little visual here, and this is a good reference. And what we're going to do, so it shows you that right now it's just pulling the color, the base color, right here from the sample. We're going to just drag and drop these other ones in here as well. And just rearrange them slightly so it's just a little neater. So this one right here, this is the normal map. We're going to take the RGB link here, and we're going to link it with normal. You'll see that update. Now you've already got some depth on the bricks. They don't just look flat like they're reflecting. And then we're going to go down here, and this is either a pixel depth offset or this is a roughness. Usually you'll see them labeled clearly as roughness, and then a pixel depth offset will usually be labeled as a displacement texture, but I'm not sure which one this is. I'm going to link this in both of them actually. This might be a roughness texture. Let me see. Yeah, it might just be a roughness. It's sometimes hard to tell, and this one's not labeled clearly. But as you can tell, now you've got some really nice. It looks like there's depth to the texture. You can even see it kind of casting shadows on itself, and now you've got a really nice looking material. Also, key thing before we also go any further and we leave this editor, you want to make sure that there is a physical material assigned to this material, because if not, if you shoot at the wall or anything like that, your bullets are just going to kind of phase through it. You're not going to get any kind of bullet hole or anything like that. You're not going to see any kind of collision with the bullet on the wall. So you want to make sure that you change physical material. We'll make this to concrete, and these are going to be pulled from the project folder, one second, in your content folder. So like I mentioned, you'll have this project folder that will be brought in once you install the TKA DevKit, and they're going to be pulled from this folder right here, these physical materials. And this is going to give Jody footsteps when you're walking on the floor, and it's also going to make sure that there's bullet holes in the wall and things like that whenever you shoot at it, different sound effects, etc. And so now you can see, after we updated this bricks texture, now we've got some really nice, if I can get this to kind of line up correctly, but you can kind of see there's some depth. It's reflecting light a little bit more differently. It looks like there's some real texture to it. So that's good. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to, oh, whoops, right, it's in here, which is fine. I'm not going to worry in this instance about moving all these stuff around, but I just want to show you it's usually a little bit neater to have like a material instance separate from your textures. So I'm going to just drag this material. Now that we've rebuilt the material, you don't need to drag this texture. Now you can just assign the material and it will automatically grab the textures that are inside the material. So hopefully that makes sense. So now you've got some nice, shiny brick walls. You can always make this a little rougher or change this however you want to, but, it's still going to look nice no matter what. And then we want to change the floor textures as well. So I'm going to go back in here, maybe go into this office one. Here's some wood texture. And here, this is a good example. There's a roughness and a displacement. So displacement is actually going to be those pixel depth, and that's going to actually give real depth to the asset. It's not just going to be like an illusion of depth. It's actually going to have pixel depth. It's pretty cool. So go back in here, drop those in our textures folder. I think it's loading. There we go. I'm going to save because that was a little bit scary. And like I said earlier, we're just going to take that color. This is going to be like the base of the material. We're going to drag that onto the floor. It's going to take that. We're going to go into the material that has now been created and automatically assigned to it. Go back in here. I'm going to minimize that slightly, zoom out a little bit, and we're going to take all of these other textures, displacement, normal, and roughness. These are all going to give you that depth. Separate them a little bit. Okay, so this one is, my mic keeps turning off. So you're always going to link these materials from their RGB value. So you're going to grab RGB, go up to normal. This one is displacement, so this is going to be pixel depth offset. And this one is roughness, so this is going to go up at the top, and it's going to link to roughness. And now you've got your super nice detailed material. Also, like I mentioned earlier, make sure that your material has a physical material assigned to it. So since this is wood, we're going to give it a wood. And that's going to sound like Jody's walking on wood. Or whenever you shoot it, you're going to see little wood splinters and all that kind of fun stuff come out of it. So save that, make sure you apply it, make sure you save it. And now you're good. Now you've got a real, looking room, not just like a basic white wall. So this is pretty good. Now what we can do is get into some of the spawners. So we're going to go to the content folder, and you're going to go back to that project folder. This is kind of like your dev kit. You're going to go into actors, go to spawner, and the main ones that you want to pay attention to here are going to be zombie spawner, zombie batch spawner, and item spawner. This is pretty much what you're going to use to spawn just about everything in the map. All of your pills, medkits, guns, weapons, and zombies. Zombies are going to be, this zombie spawner, the red one, this is going to be for like individual zombies. So if you want to have one zombie waiting for you around the corner, you would set that up with something, a spawner like this. Zombie batch spawner is going to be for like if you're making a survival mode and you want to set up horde waves, this is what you're going to use. This will let you configure how many zombies per wave, what items are dropped, how many are in a wave. You'll be able to say exactly how many of each zombie is going to spawn. It gets pretty detailed. But in this instance, we're just going to spawn like one zombie, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this zombie spawner, just drag it from here. This particular content, like in this project folder, I don't know why exactly, but you don't need to move these into your project folder. You can leave them here in the kind of default space and it'll still work. So don't worry about having to reassign these. You can just go into this folder, grab them, drop them in your map, and it will work. So the direction that this arrow is facing is going to be the direction that the zombie is facing, so we'll make him look that way. And then we've got this highlighted right now, so we're going to go over here. There's a little component viewer, and the actual like data for this zombie spawner is inside this component here. So we're going to open this up, and now you're going to see zombie name, AI mode, hearing radius, loot name. So I highly recommend you join the Discord. There are some really good guides and lots of conversations between me and some of the other modders talking about how all this stuff works. All the values for the zombies, all the values for the guns, all of that is laid out straight in the Discord. Hopefully that'll be updated somewhere else in the future, but for now, it is what it is. Zombie 01 is going to be just the default basic zombie, so I'm going to drop that in here. If you want him to have a red gem, you do zombie 01 red or zombie 01 blue. Squirters and stuff are a little bit different. It would be squirter blue, I think. I don't think there's a hyphen. It's just like squirter red or squirter blue. But for now, we're just going to do zombie 01. Zombie AI mode. So this is going to be the way that your zombie interacts once it's spawned. So you can have it chase you, you can have it follow you until it's spotted, and then it will attack you. Or active will just kind of be like it'll kind of wander around as a zombie or do whatever. Um, so we're going to set this as active. And if you want this zombie to move around or walk around the environment kind of naturally, you want to make sure that you have a nav mesh. So I'm going to take this post-process, I'm going to move it up a little bit because, like I said, this can affect your whole map no matter where it is. We're going to grab a nav mesh bound and we're going to drop this in the level. And if you click P, you'll see, let me see. Okay, hold on. You will see it. There we go. So now you'll see this green square pop up. This is the actual, this is basically like the boundary that the nav mesh is creating. So this will tell the zombie, hey, I can walk in all these different spaces, right? So we're going to extend it, and it's a little imperfect, but that's fine. I mean, it's not like you need the zombie to hug the wall, right? So as long as you have this set up, now this zombie knows that when it spawns in this green zone, that it can walk around and it has all of it can go anywhere in this area, right? So I'm going to click P, I'm going to turn that off again, and now we are all set with the nav mesh. You can set zombies to active or to follow you, and they'll know how to navigate the level. So we're good there. Let's drop in like a gun. So now we can take the item spawner. We're going to drop this in here. And this one you'll just edit right at the item spawner self. You'll see item name. We're going to make this Glock. If you want to do like a bottle of pills, you would do pills. If you want a med kit, it would be medical kit. If you want the SMG, it's UMP 45, or the assault rifle, HK 416. They have to match those values exactly. So we're going to make this Glock, and then we're going to drop a little ammo box. So I'm going to Control C, Control V. Oh, whoops. Wait, am I? I think I did that wrong. Okay, yeah, hold on. So change this Glock. Click out of that, reselect it, Control V, Control C, Control V, copy paste, and now it duplicated itself. We're going to make this Glock ammo. And now you'll have a little box of ammo right beside the Glock on the ground over here. Other thing that we want to add in, we want to make sure that there is a way for Jody to actually spawn in the level. So you're going to grab your player start and you're going to drop that wherever you want. This is going to make sure that Jody is in the level when you press play. If you don't have this in here, I don't know. I think the game, it's either going to not work or you're just going to spawn as like a camera or something. So yeah, just have that in there. And then there are also vending machines, I believe, that are inside of that as well. You'll see, let me see, it might be, there it is, it's in miscellaneous, at least in this version that I have. So you'll see trading machine refresh. So this is the one that's just going to kind of randomly update itself every like 30 seconds or something like that. This other one here, trading machine, this one is going to be blank. It's going to be completely empty unless you manually like input the data. You have to go into the blueprint of the item and kind of configure some things. It's not a lot of people know how to do this yet, but like there is knowledge on it if you're interested. But for now, we're just going to use trading machine refresh. That's just going to give you a straight up no configuration vending machine that people can use. And we're going to take that, you're going to drag it in. This is one of the few actors that will also spawn with a mesh. And I'm just going to drop it right there. We'll rotate it and we'll just put it against the wall here. Oh, and also one thing we can do so that maybe you can get something from the vending machine. You take this zombie, go inside the component again, loot item name. We can make it drop a little stack of money. Just type money. And now you're good. So now that zombie is going to drop money. Other than that, we are pretty good. So we've got nav mesh in, so now your zombie knows how to navigate. You've got a post process in that's going to make sure that the adaptation is turned off, so that dim rooms are dim and bright rooms are bright, and not ultra bright, or dim rooms are now bright all of a sudden. So that's been changed. You've got Jody, her starting spawn. You've got a weapon dropped in. You've got a light source, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So usually before we export or build or do anything like that, save a project. Um, let's go into mod. Let's go into our project folder, and let's just double check that all of these tables are configured. So the chunk ID is changed. That's good. We can save that. It's renamed correctly. Go into mod level table. Make sure that the row name matches the name of your level. Make sure there's a little description, and most importantly, make sure that the path is set to the path of your project folder. So our project folder is named TKA new, or that the level is named TKA new. I just make it all match across the board so that there's no confusion. Just make it pretty much all the same, and make sure that this path matches the name of the level, and then you're good. So that's what it should look like. There's a little caption there, whatever. We're going to save that. We're going to close this. So that's looking pretty good. We should be ready to roll. Make sure that, yeah, you got your game mode set. Yeah, this looks good. So we're going to save it again. Even though we didn't have to, I just do it anyway. And we're going to build. So you just click on this build button up here. It's going to build your whole level all at once, rebuild your lighting, make sure all the geometry is good, all that fun stuff. So this usually takes a minute or two depending on the size of your level. Obviously, since this is just a teeny tiny room, that took like 10 seconds. So we're good. So now we've got the level built. We can press G to view this without any other distractions, and pretty clean. So now we're going to go to File, and we're going to package the level. So when you click on your file, package project, go to Windows. It's going to bring up a destination selection, right? So you want to save this in your documents. I believe by default, when you install this DEVKit and you get the TKA editor set up, you're going to have this Unreal Projects folder in your documents by default. So you're going to go in there, and you'll see these are your default, the ones that they kind of give you at the start, but then you'll see the Killing Antidote, animation, and hair. So you want to double click on that, and you'll see some other folders here. And where you want to send your package files to is just straight to the root of packaged. I've tried like going in here and making other folders. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The one time I tried it, it didn't work. So I just always package directly to the root. So you can just click on this folder and you're good. Select it, and now it's going to start packaging. This usually takes some time. It's going to like compile some shaders, do some other things. And this usually takes about a minute or two, depending on the size of your level. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. So, yeah, if you start building some really big levels, this packaging time is going to take a really long time. So now we wait. I'll probably just cut this part out and skip straight to the actual gameplay. Alright, cool. So the packaging has finished. That took about a minute or two to do. So I already have my folders open. So right now we're inside where your game was installed, inside the game install directory. I'm in my mods folder, content packs mods, and I'm going to delete this one. And then I've also got the packs open. So in your documents, Unreal Projects, TKA, packaged, Windows no editor, TKA, content, packs. This is where you're going to find your packaged file. So we're going to take this pack chunk 13 because that's what we named the ID of this table. So we're going to take pack chunk 13 and we're going to drop it in our mods folder. We're going to rename it to the name of our level, TKA new. And now the mod is in the game. So we're going to boot up Steam. We're going to press play. And the game is going to boot up. And we should be able to walk around and play the level now. Let's see what happens. Doop 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 doop. All right, cool. So now we're in. We're going to go to additional modes, go to mods, and we're going to scroll down. We should see new level. That's what we named it. It's got a default image, but this is the one we're looking for because that was the name of the caption whenever we did the mod table. So we're going to just start this. You'll see now that you can read the title. There's a little caption. This is caption for my level. And if you did any of the configuration on the tables wrong, then where it says press any key to continue, that'll just be an infinite load and it'll just never load. Usually that means like you didn't change the path or something like that. It could mean other things, but in my experience, that's usually what it was. I just forgot to edit the path, but we should be good. Press any key and we should spawn in as Jody. There it is. I got scared for a second, but we're good. Oh, you know what? I forgot. But you know what? I'll show you after this. It's not a huge deal. Easily fixable. But as you can see, we are in the level. The zombie that I put is not going to spawn because I did not place a trigger to make it spawn. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Super easy. But as you can see, the Glock spawned, the ammo spawned, and if we shoot the wall, now you've got bullet holes, you've got dust, you've also can shoot the floor. And now you can see it's kind of reacting like wood does. And if you walk around, there's wooden footsteps. So you are good. And also we can walk up to the vending machine and you can see that there's all kinds of stuff you can buy and you can refresh it if you want to or whatever. But yeah, you've got a working vending machine. So now you're in the level. Now you can just keep building, keep doing your thing. You know, rebuilding, repackaging, testing, going back in, rebuilding, repackaging, testing. That's kind of the cycle. So now we're good. There's nothing obviously else here, but pretty cool. Proof of concept. We're just going to close it. And I'm going to go back in the editor and I'm going to correct that zombie not spawning. So if I press G, I'm going to turn all my game stuff back on. And so as we saw, there was no way for this zombie to spawn, and that is because I did not put a trigger. So what you want to do, go into content, go into the project, go into actors, go into trigger, activate the game trigger box, and we're going to drop this in the level. So now, whenever Jody walks through this trigger, let's put it, I don't know, like right here. So whenever Jody steps into this little square, it's going to spawn that zombie. And you can resize this, you know, you can make it the size of a doorway or something teeny tiny. You can attach this to a button, or you can attach this to some kind of animated door so that when you walk through a doorway that another door opens, or you can make this like a button press. Super versatile. You can do all kinds of stuff with this, but right now we're just going to make this a space that when you step into it, it triggers the zombie. So in here, in the details of your trigger, you're going to scroll down. Where is it? Oh, my bad. It's right at the top. Up in this default, you're going to see activate actors. You're going to press plus. You're going to add an element, and you're going to make this reference your zombie spawner. So now whenever you walk into this, it's going to spawn the default zombie that we configured in this section here. So now we're good. I'll rebuild it, repackage it again, and then I'll show you how this works in just a second. Okay, so now we've repackaged. This is kind of a good example of how you're gonna kind of do your testing, especially if you're gonna test multiple iterations of this. Going back into your mods folder, I already had this pulled up. I'm just gonna go ahead, delete the old version, take the new pack that was just packaged, drop this in. We're gonna rename it, and now the new version is in our mods. We're gonna boot the game. And now we should have a proper trigger that will spawn the zombie when you walk into it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I also highly, 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 highly recommend read Saget's guide. Um, like I said, you're going to need Saget's guide to get your UE set up ahead of time before you even start building. Um, I would do that. Maybe I'll do another tutorial on how to set that up. I'm not sure, but it's not too hard. It doesn't take that long. You just got to download a couple things and then you're kind of good to go. But his guide is really, really good. And like I said, everything that's in this video that I'm telling you right now is pretty much all covered there, except for maybe some of the other details, but everything else that you need to know is there. So as you can see, the map is working again. That's good. We were able to pick up our gun. And now this zombie should spawn when we walk into the trigger that we put right here. And there he is. And that reminds me, I also missed another thing that I should probably tell you guys, but there's a reason he spawned into the floor. The the actual so let's go back. I'll show you real quick. The reason that he spawned, I'm accidentally opening FL Studio. So he spawned into the ground because the component is kind of in the floor right now, as you can see. Let me hit P, turn off that nav mesh. So usually, a good rule of thumb, just raise this up like 2, 3, 4 notches, 5 notches, and this will just make sure that when your zombie spawns in, that they're not spawning in the ground like he did just there. So that was just my fault. I just missed that. Forgot to mention it. But other than that, this is pretty much it. You're pretty much good to go. The whole foundation is here. You can have multiple triggers. You can have multiple zombie spawners, so you can duplicate this and have another trigger that attaches to zombie spawner 2, and then another wave of zombies spawns or something like that. You can have a trigger attached to the batch spawner so that you could have a kind of wave-based fight in the middle of your map or something like that, and then it can go back to a more like traditional single spawn. So there's definitely some flexibility here. It's pretty cool. But I think I covered everything. You got your game mode set, how to edit the tables, making sure all your references are good. You know the difference between different lighting now, post-process volumes. You've got your physical materials set so that you've got footsteps and bullet holes, zombie spawners, vending machines, and the hyperbox. I forgot to mention, I have this written down. There is a hyperbox actor, and you can just place this in the level. You're not going to see the actual box. You don't need to worry about raising this up or down. You can just keep it in the floor like this. It's going to spawn nice and neat on the ground, and you'll be good to go. You'll have a hyperbox in the level. But other than that, I think I covered everything. And if you have any questions for me, feel free, join us in the Discord. I'll put the Discord in the description so you guys can join in there and talk to us and the other modders like me and Saget. I'm gonna drop the guide from Saget because you definitely want to read that. This video, it's definitely a little bit more of like a supplement an extension of that guide. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you did. If you're a new modder, new to Unreal Engine, new to the Killing Antidote modding, then welcome. Um, don't be intimidated. It's not too difficult. Like I said, save all the time. And as long as you follow some of these rules I kind of laid out, you should be good. You shouldn't have any problems with like textures not showing up or anything like that. Um, and other than that, I think that's really it. I don't know what else I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Um, and yeah, I'll drop some links to my mods. I'll drop the Steam guide. I'll drop the Discord guide, and you guys should be all set. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See ya.